Hello! Welcome to Really Robin Stamps. This is Robin Armbrecht, and today we have a inky stamping background that I'm going to share with you. Today is February 26th, 2021, and I'm so glad that you're here. Whether you're joining me live or you are going to watch a little bit later, I am just so thankful you're going to spend some time playing with me. And like I said, we're going to get messy today. So let's see what we're going to do. Get the camera situated here for you. All right. Okay, I think that looks pretty good. How is everyone doing today? I hope you're doing well. I hope that you've had a good week. Maybe you've seen some sun this week. That's pretty exciting. I know I've enjoyed it, even though I haven't really gotten to spend a lot of time outside. It's just been kind of exciting to have the sun coming through the windows. It's so nice. So let me share with you what we're going to do today. And let me turn that down. Awesome. Okay, so we're going to do a stamping background today. We're going to do a stamping background technique today. And these are the supplies that you would need if you want to try this at home. You're going to need some watercolor paper. You're going to need some ink. And you're going to need something to spritz water with. Some paper towel, because it's messy. And then you're going to need something plastic for your surface, for the ink. So I have two things that are plastic here that we are going to use. One is just the wrapping that comes on the package of dies. I save all of this plastic stuff and end up reusing it. So I just closed it back up and now I've got this little piece of plastic to use. This is a pack of specialty designer series paper that comes with a piece of chipboard in it, and then it has this, sealed plastic envelope. And so I have used the paper and I just kept this little board in here. Kind of gives me a nice little surface, so that would work. You could also just use a piece of wax paper and kind of secure that to your workspace. You could also use a closed Ziploc bag. You could also, you could just really use a piece like a window sheet or a transparency sheet, anything that's plastic that you're going to be able to clean off with the ink. All right, so again, we need a plastic surface, paper towel, spritzer, some ink, and watercolor paper. We're going to use a lot of water, and that's why the watercolor paper is really the best choice for this particular technique. So I've pre-cut some watercolor paper into little rectangles that are 3.5 by 4.5, and we're just going to create some backgrounds on these, and then we'll put them together into cards. All right, so let's get started. I'm going to start with this big surface here. And I'm going to use these three colors. I've got Bermuda Bay and Mango Melody and Granny Apple Green. So I'm just going to take my ink pad, keeping in mind that the front of my card's about this big, and I'm going to just put some ink on the plastic. I'm going to use the Granny Apple Green first, and then I'm going to put Bermuda Bay. And then I'm going to put Mango Melody like that. Okay, so I just kind of made these little swatches of color. And then I'm going to take the spritzer, and this is just filled with water. This is our Stampin' Spritzer. And I'm going to spritz this until it gets pretty wet, like that. And then I'm going to lay down the watercolor paper. I'm not really going to push it too hard. I'm just going to set it on there and let that water get soaked up. All right, so I'm going to get a little paper towel ready to go. because when you pull this up, sometimes you get little drips like that. You can actually just kind of like tilt that and let it fall back in, but if you want to you can just blot it up as well, like that. Oh, that's pretty. Isn't that pretty? Ooh, love it. I missed that corner, so I'm just going to very carefully lay that back down in the green like that and get a little more green on there. Perfect. All right, so we got to let that dry. Let's put that over here. Now there's enough ink left over here. You could take another one and put on there, but just let me show you why we're using the watercolor paper instead of basic white. So this is a piece of basic white, and I'm going to just lay that in the leftovers here so you can see. So the basic white paper, you know, is really designed with that ultra smooth surface that's great for stamping. So it doesn't absorb the water the same way. I mean, it does absorb the water, but it's not quite the same. So we'll let that dry too so you can kind of see the comparison. The watercolor paper just takes all of that water a little bit better. Obviously, I didn't have a lot of ink here, but you can kind of see how it just doesn't look as rich on there. So I think you'll get a better effect from the watercolor paper. All right, so I just cleaned that off, and now we can do our next technique. Or not our next technique, but we're going to do the next way. So the first way, I just did the swatches of color this way. This time, I'm going to use just Jade and Pretty Peacock. And instead of just doing swatches, I'm going to kind of just make little lines with the tip of the ink pad, or the edge of the ink pad is what I'm trying to say. So we'll put some of those on there like that. Get it inky. And then lay down the watercolor paper. Now, if you look up this technique on Pinterest or somewhere, it has a couple of names. So you're going to have to help me decide what it's going to be called in Robin's world. I think this technique is called smooshing. S-M-O-O-S-H-I-N-G, right? Because you're smooshing the ink onto your paper. All right, let's lift this up. Oh, that's so pretty. And you can kind of see the shape. The shape is different because of how I put the ink on there. I'm going to just tilt this way and let that ink kind of run back down. And since it's watercolor paper, it's still going to grab that. Now, you see the white spaces? We're just going to lay that back down and get everything colored. This is easy, right? You've got your ink pads. Just add some ink and some water, and you've got these beautiful backgrounds. Okay, so back to smooshing. That's kind of what I have always called this technique, because you're like smooshing the ink onto the paper. But if you are looking this up online, it is also called smooching with a CH. So you'll see it under both names. All right, so that is Just Jade and Pretty Peacock. So those are like two tones that are kind of similar. So let's do some colors that are actually just a little bit more subtle. And let me show you another little caveat to this. So you can actually do this technique on the acrylic block as well. So I'm going to pull in these colors here. What do you guys think? Should it be called smooshing or smooching? You can totally contradict me. Give me your opinion. Do you want smooshing or smooching? All right, so I've got crumb cake and soft suede, and I'm going to do the same thing as what I would be doing on the plastic, but I'm going to do it on the block instead. We'll get some soft suede. if you've got a bunch of little ink spots from either Paper Pumpkin subscriptions, that is a great ink pad to also use with this technique because it's nice and small. So I'm just kind of doing like little angles in here with Night of Navy and Soft Suede and Crumb Cake. I'm gonna get my watercolor paper ready. Spritz again. Don't forget with your spritzer, farther away you hold it from your surface. So I'm holding mine about at least a foot, probably a little bit farther. You get a finer mist. The closer you get to your surface that you're working on, you're going to get bigger droplets of water. So I'm going to let that sit for a minute. Hey, Shannon. Smooshing, thank you. Smoosh, smoosh, smooching. Claudia says smooching is something completely different. That's what I'm thinking, right? There's a whole stamping technique called kissing, which I think you could also be called smooching. All right, so this one we're going to take off carefully. And then because I wanted to kind of keep the integrity of the square, I'm just going to push that color away from the edge and blot it up. Isn't that gorgeous? I call this a serious color combination because it's kind of like muted tones. Like that. Okay, let me clean this off. So that's on a block. All right, now this is going to blow your mind. I'm going to bring in Flirty Flamingo and Magenta Madness. And I'm going to bring in some shape stamps from the swirly frames. And I am going to stamp on my plastic. So let's get them no, I did that in the wrong color. I want the big circle to be in Flirty Flamingo. So I'm just going to stamp right on my plastic. And then I'm going to stamp some of these Magenta Madness. Are you so excited to see what this is going to look like? All right, so we're going to spritz it like that. Add our watercolor paper and let that soak in. All right, let's see what this one looks like. Ooh, isn't that pretty? Then you get the shape design in there as well. Oh, I love that. So pretty. I'm going to grab this corner. I'm going to put just a little bit more over there. Just dipping it back in the second time. Like that. Looks like coffee rings, but pink. Okay, so that is our stamping smooshing technique. All right, now let's talk about other inks that you might have. If you don't have all those colors and ink pads, you can do the same technique, but with markers. All right, so let's bring in some warm colors. I've got Crushed Curry. The thing with the markers is that it allows you to have a little bit more control over where you want the color to be, because you can obviously color. I can overlap this pumpkin into the Crushed Curry because it's a darker color. It's going from, I'm going from lighter to dark here. And then I'm going to take Cherry Cobbler, kind of overlap that with the pumpkin, like that. And then spritz. You know, I'm spritzing about 10 times with this fine mister, so it's really up to you how much water you want to get onto your paper, and you get different effects depending on how much water and stuff. All right, so let's press that watercolor paper in. Get a fresh piece of paper towel ready. And now I've got this beautiful, I think it looks like a sunset. So I'm gonna let that extra just kind of drip back down the watercolor paper like that and give it a little bit of interest. Like that. So you can see everywhere I dab, it kind of pulls up a little bit of the color. So that is a whole nother thing that you can do once you get your background done. You can kind of remove some of that color where you want it to be, where you don't want it to be, and make it, you know, lighter. So there is our marker technique. Now let me show you something even more different. All right, so I'm gonna go ahead and I'm gonna use this piece because it's flexible, right? And I'm gonna show you another way that you can do this. So I'm gonna use these same colors on the marker, but you could use ink pads the same way. And I'm gonna add these 3 colors, but this time I'm just gonna kind of randomly put the color on there. Same colors, pumpkin pie, cherry cobbler, crushed curry. Put the yellow around like that. All right, so if you do this kind of in the opposite way, meaning I'm going to spritz this with water and then I'm going to apply it to my paper this way. Instead of putting the paper down into the ink and the water, I'm going to use it this way. And you'll see you can get a totally different technique that way. It's the same, it's still smooshing. It's just backwards, I guess. All right, so I'm going to get that wet. This is kind of cool because you have a little bit of control. So I've got that ready to go. I'm going to flip it over, and then I'm just going to kind of press it down and lift it. And then I can just keep moving it around. You kind of have more control this way, and you get more random patterns because of like the dots, you know, they're not getting pushed into the paper the same way. So I'm going to let that dry like that. I'm going to blot it up a little bit. So you can get even more of just a little splattered look. Now you can let that dry, and then you can redo it and go back in. Obviously mine's not quite dry yet, but you could go back in with a different color if you wanted to add more colors, or the same colors and you wanted to get it more intense. So you really have just so many different variations on the smooshing technique. So let's see if our project is dry that we started with here, and we'll put some cards together with this technique. So I'm going to take these away. All right, we're doing smooshing today, guys. Smooshy smoosh. All right. Oh, looks like I touched that with a different color. How fun. Now we have an interesting little thing there. Okay, so let's make some cards here. You can see where I'm headed with this one. This is the last 2 days of celebration. So I thought I would try to use all the celebration stamp sets for my projects today. So I am using a touch of ink to put this card together. So we're going to use the hummingbird, and we're going to use the flower. All right, right, I think I have everything here. Maybe, looking for a piece of white paper. Okay, here we go. All right, so this is pretty much dry. So you can see it just takes a few minutes to dry. Let's go ahead and stamp. We're just gonna very simply stamp in black. So I'm gonna do the hummingbird first and put him exactly where I want him to be, and then I'll line up the flower. Like that. And then I'll put the flower right there. All right, so you know me with these strips, right? As I was cutting all of these pieces, you know, all the little side strips that were left over were just perfect for me to use with these punches. So I've been using these label punches a lot, and I really, really like them because now that I'm saving all these little strips, I just have like this to go to, you know, pile for greetings, and just to add a little greeting and a little strip on there. So I'm going to put the greeting this way across the flower. This is a 1/2 inch strip. So I'm going to just decide where I want that to be, and then I'm going to stamp the greeting onto the strip. And I'm going to use this punch here. And then I'm just going to trim the edge with scissors. So I went into, since these are all bright colors, I went into my pack of Brights Designer Series paper, and I found the Daffodil Delight, which I thought was the color I was using. It was really mango, but I think it'll still work. So I already pre-cut this one. And so this was a 1/2 inch strip. This is a 3/4 inch strip. So when I use it with the same label punch, it's going to punch a little bit more than the first one. So these will be able to layer together perfectly. So we'll glue that together. Like that. All right, so the card is going to just get mounted on 2 of the colors. So this is a really great aspect of this background technique is whatever, you know, colors you have in ink, generally those are the colors you have also purchased the cardstock for. So you have a coordinating background with whatever ink and paper colors you have. So you can very easily then go and build the rest of your card, you know, based on the colors that you chose to make the background. Those are the colors that you choose to make the card out of. So I pulled in all 3 of these colors that I used, the Granny Apple Green and the Bermuda Bay and the Mango Melody. Like that. So we're going to pop that up. And then I'll trim the end so it'll be exactly where I want it to be. Like that. All right, let's finish this off with some opal pearls. And we'll put a few on there. We'll do 3. Like that. Just to give it a little glitz. All right, what do you think? So we've got smooshing, and then we just created a simple card. Now, let me just give you another little tip here. Stampin' Up! Has these little packages of designer series paper available, and it's kind of a little bit, maybe you miss it in the catalog, right? So this is page 150 of the catalog here. These are the papers that I'm talking about. So even though you're seeing the subtles here, you can get a pack of 6x6 patterned paper in each of the color families that Stampin' Up! Has. So you can get brights, neutrals, regals, subtles, and the in color packages in these designs. So if you have the ink colors in the paper for, you know, some of these color families, and you get this little pack of paper to go with it, you will always have background paper that matches the colors that you have of your ink. So it's kind of a really easy way to make sure you've always got some coordinating background paper. So I've tried to utilize this background paper on the projects that I was doing today. So let's put a couple more of these cards together. Okay, you can go sit over here now. So let's do this one here with our jade and our pretty peacock. And let's make a card. So I've got the jade as the background color. And then I've got a pop of the peacock as well. Again, we're saying goodbye to all of these wonderful celebration sets that will no longer be available after Sunday. So this Berry Blessings stamp set is one of those. Now this time I'm going to stamp right in the same color that I made the background in. It's going to just be more subtle than stamping in black. So I'm going to take the leaf image in the Just Jade and I'm going to stamp a background. I think I need a piece of scratch paper here. So I'm just turning the stamp every time and just creating a little background like that. And then I'll take the peacock color and I'll do the blueberries. They can be whatever color you want. You don't have to make these the exact same color as blueberries. All right, so I'm gonna just stamp a couple more off the edge so that we've got a couple of blueberries. See how subtle that looks? It's just so beautiful. It brings out the colors that you made in your background. And then we're gonna, again, use one of these great layer punches. This is the Treasured Tags. And so I'm going to use this side over here, which kind of makes like a nice little, I don't know, it reminds me of a Moroccan kind of design. So I'm going to do a 1-inch strip with that end. And then I'm going to do a 3/4 inch strip. And that will cut a little bit differently. Like that. And then we'll take our greeting, wishing you the very best. And then we'll layer those two together. All right, so I kind of want this to pop up a little bit. I'm just going to show you one other little thing that you can do. If you have a paintbrush and just plain water, because this is watercolor paper. I'm going to use a baby wipe for this. You can go back and you could kind of pull off some of that color with a paintbrush. So it's going to just lighten it up as it re-dries. So that would be something to play with as well. So it kind of just pulls off a little bit of that color. But like I said, you can also take a paintbrush and just some water and do the same thing. I'm going to make this pop a little bit by putting it on just a piece of basic white. And then we'll finish it off by putting it on a piece of Just Jade cardstock. And then we're going to pop up our greeting, and just like that. And then we'll trim off that end. And I'm going to put that right there. And then cut that even with the edge of the card, just like that. So let's add a little bling. We'll use this ribbon. This is from the Flowers for Every Season. It's just a cute little gingham. I think this is actually mint macaron is the color here, but it really matches the jade beautifully. So we'll make a bow and, oops, stick that on with a glue dot. Right there. Like that. And then let's add just a little bit of bling here with our Just Jade enamel dots, like that. This is one of my favorite cards that I made today. And then, you know what? They're all pretty cool, I think. So I love this one. All right, so that is number 2 put together. Let's go ahead and put together this this one, and then I'll show you how I made cards out of the rest of them. So for this card, I was thinking, since I picked more muted colors, that I would make a card with the Heal Your Heart stamp set. And so I picked the same color pattern paper as what I used for the ink. So my card base is going to be navy. And then I used a piece of soft suede and a piece of crumb cake to be the background. So it's just kind of like more muted, more serious colors. And then we'll make this into a sympathy card or something similar. All right, so I used, again, this is the pack of Designer Series paper that matches the neutrals colors. So it's all of those beautiful neutral colors. Now this particular pack of paper, see, I have one for every single color. This is actually not available just quite yet. This is going to be the packs that are in the next catalog that starts in May. These are the ones that are available right now, and they have 4 different pattern designs than these do. So, you know, as an investment, you could definitely buy, let's say you've got all the neutrals. If you've got this one now, when the new catalog comes in May and you get this pack of neutrals, then you're actually going to have like 8 different patterns of paper that match the colors that you have. So just something to think about there. Right now, this came out early because it's an offering for Celebration Becoming a Demonstrator. So when you become a demonstrator during Celebration this year, for $99, you get $125 worth of product, anything that you want, in the whole book. And then you get 5 packs of this paper, 1 of each of the color families, and then you get the in color pack as well. That's 200 sheets of paper. I did the math. They each have 40 sheets. You get 5 packs. That's 200 sheets of paper that you get extra just during celebration. So think about that too. If you still have a huge wish list of things for $99, you can get $125 worth of stuff. Be a demonstrator for a little bit. You don't have to stick with it. You can just get the starter kit as a great deal. You don't have to put in any other orders until the end of June if you wanted to continue to be a demonstrator. So it's kind of, it's something to think about, at least if you've got a nice big wish list. Okay, so what I'm going to do to put this card together is I'm going to just tear this shape out. Watercolor paper tears really nicely. And it kind of mimics the little edge that was created when I did this on the block for our smooshing technique. So it's just going to create a nice little focal point there. Then I'm going to take this Wishing I Could Heal Your Heart and stamp that. Ooh, that's pretty dark. I got really crazy with that navy. I might have to, I'm going to put it together, but I might have to go back and emboss this in white, and I'll show you the first version that I did. So let's put these pieces on our card front, and then we'll pop that up. I think that's exactly what I'll do, is I will go back and I'll stamp this with Versamark, and I'm going to emboss that greeting in white onto this, and that will make it pop up. It'll stand out. I love these colors together. I think that looks so pretty. All right, I also pre-punched out some vellum little leaves. This is cardstock vellum, and so we're going to attach these underneath the focal point. If I can find my glue dots. Just to give it a little bit extra layer. Like that. There you go. I'm going to add a little ribbon to this one ultimately, but I think I'm going to emboss that one first. So let me show you the first card I made. Ended up being a little bit lighter because I didn't put quite so much. I didn't get crazy with the navy. This is one of my favorites as well today. I guess I'm saying they're all my favorite, huh? They are. They're all my favorite. All right, so we've got that one. All right, so we've got these 3 left that we created today. Remember, this one was with stamped images. So here's the card that I put together with that. I just stamped in black our darling little donkey. So cute. I haven't put these 2 pinks together. I kind of like it. It's different. Then this piece right here, I went ahead and made it a sunset, and I used the Mountain Air stamp set. I know a lot of you guys have that. So this is a great technique if you want to just concentrate on making different skylines, sunsets, sunrises, whatever, and then you can put your nature stamp sets with that. It's so fun. So I used that. Again, I used the thank you that comes in the Heal Your Heart to put those together. And then for this type of smooshing, I used the Approaching Perfection Celebration stamp set as well. Remember, this was our marker technique where we did it the opposite direction so we could get a little bit more spotted effect. And then I just stamped everything like a little news column. and used the same markers to go back in and then just color and highlight some of those things. So let's pull these all in here so you can see all of our card friends today. You know, I didn't do too badly. I got some ink on there, but you know what? Maybe it's not quite so messy of a technique after all. All right, so again, thank you so much for learning smooshing today, or remembering smooshing. And don't forget, celebration is only 2 more days. So if you want any of these stamp sets or lovely papers that come in this great little flyer, you've got until Sunday to put in your order. And then this month I have a free card class. It's 3 completely different projects. They're a surprise, but they're really, really, really cute. If you order $50, you get the card class for free. I bring you a kit, and then there's a video tutorial that you can watch and put your cards together. So don't miss out on that opportunity to get something free from Celebration and also get a free card kit for me. So card class, yep. Sounds good. You guys, thank you so much for watching Smooshing today. Happy stamping and have a great rest of your day. Bye.